Hello and welcome to Star Trek Wars Picard Edition. The finale episode of Picard is upon us. I'm your host Jordan, and joining me today, it's Joselyn.
Jordan, I want to tell you about my colleagues. You see, time is like it's a woven. The thing is, it's a sweater, and if you pull this thread, and while you walk away, and it unravels, and then we're both naked. So, do you want to join our club? You might die.
Is Weezer going to be there?
Absolutely.
I'm in.
Fantastic. Let's go. Wow, you didn't need any time to think about a major life decision, did you?
Not at all. It's the best decision I've ever made.
I bet.
And we will be discussing that moment in great detail. So what a moment it was.
It was a moment.
It's Picard, Season 2, Episode 10, the finale, Farewell.
Yes, it is.
Good riddance. I mean, Farewell. Oh. Written by Christopher Monfay and Akiva Goldsman, probably wrote a word. Directed by Michael Weaver. Jocelyn, I'm going to read the summary, which I feel like doesn't need to be read because I feel like I've read the summary for the last 4 weeks. But with just hours until the Europa mission launch, Picard and crew find themselves in a race against time to save the future.
The future really needs to get its act together because I feel like it's always being saved.
Yeah.
I mean, like me, when I was 10, every Sunday school morning, this show is always getting saved. Doesn't want to go to hell.
Unlike the files on Soon's computer. This is getting saved and saved and saved.
And saved.
The future is getting saved and backed up.
Mm-hmm.
Back up your data. All right, Jocelyn.
Okay.
First impressions of the finale episode. Yes.
And a little leeway from me for this show because I watched this episode like fully 4 days ago, and I have worked 3 12-hour shifts back to back since then. So I'm a little fried. But I remember watching it and thinking, okay. Oh, nice sweater. Oh, there's Will Wheaton. Okay, and now it's done. Like that was my impression, basically.
That sounds about accurate. I had a similar impression. If you're going to tell a story this way and build, I expect the finale to be awesome.
Yes, awesome.
And awesome it was not, in my opinion.
Not, indeed.
There's a few good scenes and some good things, and the payoff did not fully land because the road to get there was just bumpy and there's not a lot of continuity, and I have so many questions. Like, you should not be left with more questions at the end of the season than at the beginning of the season. Full
agreement.
So, but we will get to that. We have a pro section we have to do first. So
yes, we do.
This could be long. So
yeah, buckle up.
All right, why don't you hit us with your pros, Jocelyn?
Okay, pros. So Picard pulls, like the show Picard, and Picard physically, he pulls a full marine biologist from Star Trek IV in this episode when he jumps in with Talon / Laris, not Laris, and into the purple cloud of transportation. And
that's true, yeah.
That was a cute moment, and they didn't overplay it, I didn't feel. And that was nice. And I was like, he did that thing. He did that thing that the marine biologist did to Kirk. Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I actually did enjoy a lot of the interactions between Seven and Raffi this episode. I like that they're back together. I think they're a strong couple. They're fun together. I like it. So that was fun. Something I put in my pros, even though it's probably neutral because lots of questions, but the folder that was labeled Project Con.
Yeah.
I don't know how that tracks with...
Not in my brush.
Okay. I have a feel like... Okay. In the moment when it happened, I was like, oh, Project Con. Oh, it makes sense because he's like editing genes and like Khan is like this super like ideal human specimen guy. But I don't remember the Soongs being involved with Khan, or am I remembering that incorrectly? Also, the timeline is not right. Or no, I guess we went back in time, so it could be.
We did not go back in time far enough because the eugenics wars was in the 90s. So Khan was already around and is presumably out frozen in space at this point in time. It's an alternate kind of past-ish.
Okay, wait. So maybe Soong already did it. And it's because it's an old folder and it's paper, so maybe it's from the 90s. I'm really trying to make this work because it was one of the only high points.
Did he really make Khan and then go on to make 18 daughters, and then the last one, his crowning achievement was Corey, who left and went off with Will Wheaton?
Yeah, some questionable decision making there.
I'm not buying that.
Not buying it. Here's what I think. Okay, here's what it was. He didn't actually like work on Project Con. He was like
an intern,
the janitor or an intern or something. And then he stole the dossier. And then from that...
He still has that file from 30 years ago, but...
But he can't hold on to any other ones. Yeah. Before I really thought it out, it was a pro, and so I left it in my notes. It was good to see Whoopi again. Back as Guinan. End of statement. Elnor's back. That's nice. He's alive. I wanted him so very much to be alive. And he is. And he's the captain of a starship for some reason.
He's on a starship. I don't think he's the captain. I think he's just stationed on that Excelsior.
I just wasn't sure why. He looked like he was in the captain chair.
Yeah, I think he's like off on one of the side consoles. But he has his own TV screen.
But for some reason, the camera's on him. Like, how do cameras inside of a spaceship work? You know what I mean? Like, I have this laptop camera, and it's just always whoever's in front of it. If I was talking to you, or like you called me, and Sean answered from across the room, that wouldn't make any sense because the camera is here. So are there just cameras all over in a starship? And if so, creepy, you know?
Indeed.
I don't know. That was whatever. Elnor's alive. Picard wore one of the greatest sweaters I think he's ever worn.
It's a good
and honestly, this season, I have really desperately missed the parade of sweaters that we were granted, nay, gifted in the first season. And thank you, writers, for bringing back, or whoever does the costumes, I guess, for Picard. I should have looked into that, but I didn't. But that green sweater, if you saw it, you saw it. And you know, it's really great. Those are my pros.
Awesome.
Do you have many pros, Jordan?
So many.
So many?
This show looks great, Jocelyn. It really does.
It really does. Okay.
Strange New Worlds came out this week.
Pro.
That was very good.
Okay. So, yeah. I should have maybe not watched Strange New Worlds so close to when I watched Picard because it was very difficult for me to remember anything about Picard. It's like, I don't know. Picard is that relationship we've had now for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And we're out with Picard and we're having dinner, you know, with this show, and everything's fine. It's okay. It's been a fine relationship. There have been ups and downs. And then Strange New Worlds walks into the restaurant. And it's like, I can't even pay attention to season 2 Picard anymore. Because
it's like the meme of the guy holding the girl's hand and another girl walks by and he's like, huh? It's whiplash.
It's that meme. Are we
really that shallow, Jocelyn?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I guess the answer is yes.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we could probably fill a whole pro segment with just like the hair on Strange New Worlds. But we'll keep it Picard centric. I do love the scene where Rafi asks about Elnor and Q's like, who? You son of a, what did you do with Elnor? He goes, who? Like, it's so just the most Q line of the season.
Yeah.
I like that Seven gets to be more Seven-ish in this episode. Like, she actually gets to take charge a little bit, has some scenes. Her and Rafi have scenes together where they're not just yelling at each other.
Yes.
Which took all season to get there. So, like, I feel like I'm at a point in Picard where they've finally given me something that I've been wanting the whole season. It's almost a con because it took so long to get there. Mm-hmm. And just the path they took to get there is just like, I don't know, Jocelyn, have you ever been lost in a transwarp hub trying to navigate your way to a destination and you get sidetracked and you've never been in one before, so you're taking wrong turns and you get further away than
every single time
your initial destination? Yeah. So
just like that.
Yes, that's kind of what this season was like in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I like the Q Picard goodbye in a sense. It was good seeing those two characters kind of inhabit the same scene and just talking and using words that were coherent and made sense. Like they had a conversation with each other.
They had a conversation.
Which like
and
the whole
we
season.
all understood the references and we all understood what it was about.
Yes, it was not just like Q being weird and bleeding from the eye, yelling something about a penance and watching someone play chess and a reckoning.
Any of that came full circle.
None of it. I don't understand. That's my biggest con of the season.
Yeah.
Neutral zone. Moving on. Talon is like, I like her character. She had some good moments here as well. I guess that would be a pro that she gets to speak with Renee, but also neutral zone because it's like she's major level creeper.
Major level
introducing
creeper.
yourself, and maybe not the creepiest of creepers this episode, but a solid second place when your initial like sentences to someone that's never seen you or met you before is like, remember when you were a little girl? And it's like, oh my gosh, like telling her a story that like, I was watching you from afar as a small child and been watching you ever since. Like, okay, that's weird. Go away, please.
Yeah.
We got to move this next one to cons. I don't know, that's in the zone. Dr. Soong somehow being even tied to Khan is just a bridge too far for me. And I understand that one of his descendants, a few hundred years later would be responsible for like the augments and like a father to these augment characters in the 3-part Enterprise episode that I love, where he's like the father to these orphans that are augments with these abilities, and two of them have like this borderline incestual relationship. It's really weird, and I just remember the climax of like the first or second episode, no pun intended. It ends with Archer climbing a ladder. He's like climbing this ladder like very intensely, and then it's like to be continued. It's like, wait, what? Like that's where you're going to end this one? It was pretty. I think it was Cold Station 12 or the Augments, one of those.
Okay, can't wait.
There's some good stuff in that arc, but it's an episode too long, and it's kind of weird. But so there is some. It does track a little bit with the Soongs and the back history that they've set up, but like not every Soong has to be involved in this capacity. Like not every family is going to do the exact same thing generation after generation.
No.
And again, how are the Soongs creating other male Soongs? Like these guys are not getting married.
I don't know.
Unless they're all just like he can't create a human. So how did he get created? It's not like his dad was a geneticist that created him. I would buy that kind of, but I don't know. Really weird.
I mean, it must be a son he doesn't remember or doesn't know about, That's possible.
He could just check the computer files. Rios has like a good reason to stay behind, I suppose, but I could have done without the whole backstory. It's enough for Rios to just stay behind and lead a simple life and be a good dad and help out with his clinic. But it's like Renee saves his son's life, and then they cure global warming and clean up the oceans.
It
and
was
it's
so bizarre. How is this in your neutral zones?
Because Rios is happy and he's not going to be in the
happy.
next season, so we don't have to worry about smoking and cigars. And I guess it's more of a con. I'm trying to be positive, Jocelyn. It's neutral zone because I didn't like it, but at least they cleaned up the ocean. So
I love a clean ocean.
I do too.
Would love that IRL. Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of marine biologists,
yes.
If there was not so much junk in the ocean, then whales' blowholes would not get clogged. And you wouldn't need a marine biologist to climb on top of the whale and pull out a golf ball.
My God. Okay.
I mean, that's a classic George Costanza.
It's a classic George Costanza.
Oh,
as everyone knows.
Yes. If you don't get that reference, then, I mean,
then get out of here.
All right, Jocelyn. So I think we've exhausted our pros.
I think we've tried real hard. Yeah,
I expanded my neutral zone to kind of absorb some of the cons.
Okay.
Kind of soften the blow. But I think it's that time. We need to really get into the meat of this episode and talk about maybe what didn't work or what we didn't like so much. So take it away with your cons.
Okay.
No pun intended. Open up that big con folder
I've been
holding in your drawer.
Shoving in the bottom of this file folder drawer.
Dust it off, Jocelyn.
I'm going to dust it off. Well, I'll start with the neutral zone, actually, because I forgot to mention this, but it is worth mentioning that whoever is putting together the Previously On really makes this show seem very lucid and concise.
Yeah.
They do a really good job. And I watched the Previously On and I'm like, maybe that episode was better than I thought it was. Like, this kind of makes sense. Like, I don't know who's doing that, but they have a tough job and they do it really well. So just like kudos to them. Cons. Security at a space launch is pretty lax. Like, they will just let anybody in there.
Jocelyn, I have this same con as you, and I think we should read them simultaneously.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. That would be terrible.
I was like, really? This is okay, I guess.
Well, in their defense, they blew the security budget at the holiday party a few episodes ago, where it was hard to get one person in. But yet you can break into NASA headquarters on launch day and just dressed as an astronaut that no one recognizes.
Even though, like, how many astronauts could there possibly be?
I think like 3 or 4 and then 3 or 4 alternates. So 8 at most.
Yeah. I think you would know. Yeah. Speaking of the launch, that entire kind of scene exchange, we'll just keep on that. I know the plan for Renee and Talon, like the switcheroo. Like, we know what's going to happen. We know it's going to be successful. They spend too much time on it for it not to be successful. Like, I can go with that, and I can go with even the effort that they put in to, like, try and, like, did they switch or not? But I just really did not understand why Talon Renee has to bust out of the room going, that lady is crazy. Like, first of all, maybe don't call attention to the other person in the room who, by the way, looks exactly like you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe come out and just look confident and walk on like you're Renee Picard. It just was so bizarre. And the line is there specifically to plant a seed of doubt, and it does exactly the opposite because it's so obvious. I don't know. It bothered me.
Yeah, and also she changes her ear a few episodes ago, and it has that weird long exposition.
Yes.
about how it takes her 8 hours to change from a single ear change, but she changes after doing a full body transformation just minutes later.
Yeah, into full. Well, she did have the pointy ears, though, right?
Uh-huh.
Like she was saying, when she goes back, she can't like change her
well, she
ears.
changes back to Talon for dramatic effect. I guess is what I'm going for. Like I can see when she dies that she goes back. Like she transforms from Renee to Talon just to have that goodbye scene with Picard, which was just kind of weird.
Which was also weird, yeah, because anyway, that doesn't even register in my pros, cons, or neutrals.
Yeah.
Where's Q at the launch? The Q, basically, con Q, this entire season. Yeah, I'm okay with Q evolving. I'm okay with Q getting old. I'm okay with Q even like kind of dying, you know? The Continuum, I feel like, has been trying to get rid of him for a long time. It makes sense. But I just didn't understand, like, he's the NASA therapist. He's Renee's therapist, as far as she knows. And he's not at the launch.
Why?
He's trying to stop this thing from happening. Or is he? I don't know. It's weird because we don't get an answer there.
No.
Why did he have to lose his powers? Only to use his powers to transport everybody home at the end. Like, why? If a Q was losing their powers, it would be so fun to watch them, like, fumble around. Snap your fingers, and instead of getting, like, what you wanted to get, you get something wildly different.
Steamed bananas.
Yeah, steamed bananas. Exactly. When you were trying to just snap a fancy outfit on yourself. Like, it could have been more fun. It's just disappointing to me. Q, baseline. And then con, this was in your neutral zone, but Rio staying behind, that's the obvious choice. But his speech about, like, never fitting in maybe would have landed a little more if he wasn't currently the captain of a starship.
Yeah.
A Starfleet
they left him
starship.
Closer to where he was in season 1 with 5 holographic versions of himself.
Right.
In charge of a transport ship, cargo ship by himself. Sure.
But no, he became a successful starship captain. He's also gorgeous. So the one thing that gets me, I understand looks aren't everything, and I understand that people who are beautiful still have a hard life sometimes.
It is hard, Jocelyn.
But do not stand there. Only you would know, Jordan. But do not stand there with your gorgeous face and your body, yaddy, yaddy, and tell me that you never fit in to the social standard. Dude, you are the social standard. Like, have some insight.
Are you talking about Rios?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Very much.
I was getting confused.
Very much. Oh, as you would. What's up with the green screen at the end? The very end. Picard is standing there with Laris, not Talon. Yeah. And, like, we zoom out and whatever, and it's very green screeny, and it's like, are they going to kiss? Or, like, what? It looks terrible. And it's like, why? Yeah. Why did we do this?
No, I agree. They did the similar thing with Discovery. It, like, zooms out. I can't remember if that was a final shot or not, but I think it is. There's, like, a voiceover from Michael Burnham, and it zooms out to the planet and the galaxy. Then they love the zoom out shot. That was better.
That was okay. I love a zoom out shot. The vineyard is beautiful, but not when it's a green screen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you don't like green grapes?
I prefer the purple ones.
I do as well.
Yeah. I'll eat the green ones if it's all that's available.
I will too. Not bad. But I feel like anytime I start the argument, I get outruled. Or overruled. I feel like purple's the obvious choice here. But
purple's the obvious choice.
Yeah, but then they're like, oh, it's like anytime I bring up the show Supernatural, I'm like, that show's terrible. And everyone's like, I love Supernatural. Me too. I'm like, oh, crap. Like, every time I've ever brought it up, everyone in the room's like, you idiot. I was like, oh, man, I thought I was in the majority here.
I've never seen that show.
I have seen like 2 episodes, and there's been 16 seasons. So,
Wow, it is
It was
popular.
on for a long time.
Oh my goodness.
I did a Facebook commercial with one of the actresses from Supernatural, but I can't remember her name.
You did?
Yeah.
You did a Facebook commercial?
Yes, I went to a Mom 2.0 event in Austin, Texas, and she was there promoting our products, and they needed a product expert, so I got to help out. It was interesting.
How have I never seen this?
I had no idea who she was.
I
don't know that it
demand
exists
to see
anymore.
this.
Yeah, you won't.
Oh, I will find it. I will find it. I'm just going to end my cons there. I've spent enough time, and I'm not going to steal your Will Wheaton thunder. So you please do commence your cons.
Will Wheaton thunder.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I'm assuming.
Just guessing. I don't even remember how this episode starts, but I do remember that it starts with a big exposition dump to kind of catch up everyone who maybe didn't watch every episode or forgot what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a con for me.
Yeah.
The Talon thing was so obvious that I know that I called it almost exactly how it happened last week or 2 weeks ago.
You did.
Ridiculous. And I think probably 80% of people did. I still don't know who Rafi is or what her skill set is.
I know.
They tried to make her like MacGyver this week and hack the drones when Seven is standing right there.
Right there.
And is the one that would hack the drones because that's what Seven does. She hacks into things like Voyager constantly and overrides protocols and passwords and
constantly
algorithms and all that. Couldn't Picard and Talon subdue Soong somehow? Since Picard knew he was there?
Impossible.
And since Talon can change into anyone she wants ever, why not change into Soong and confuse the heck out of everybody?
Yeah.
I don't know. And Soong just being at the launch and being just grade A D-bag was...
Yes. Spot on.
Probably what he wanted from that scene. Brent Spiner, I'm sure he was just drooling, foaming at the mouth, just getting to play an a-hole because he loves that for some reason. But a little over the top in most cases, and it was just kind of weird. Talon literally stopped to explain that it took her 8 hours to change form, like I mentioned before, and does a full body transformation. The scene, it ends with him saying, look, well, pretty close to ends with him saying, or her saying, look up. I can't remember who said it, but like that scene just it was not a Hodor moment, that's for sure.
It was not. That did not come full circle.
Not at all.
No.
And just Soong not back up files, Jocelyn. Like, he doesn't encrypt them.
Does he not put them on the cloud? And also, if they're not on the cloud, how are they getting into... I don't understand how IP addresses work. So, maybe, but like... And where is Corey? She's like in the public library. I don't know if you've ever tried to use the Wi-Fi in a public library, but it's not great.
No, I tried to ask for the password, but they shushed me, so I couldn't even get on.
No, that's the password, Jordan.
Oh. Shh. With 5 H's.
It's impossible to get the right amount of H's, yeah.
It's for someone that is a genius like him, you would think that he would have like his own server or use a VPN so he can't be tracked or have an external hard drive or something. I don't know. It's not that hard.
It's really not that hard.
I set up my own router yesterday, and believe me, it's only disconnected about 16 times. So,
congratulations.
They gave Corey about 14 minutes of screen time this season, and most of it was her in her pajamas in a basement.
Yeah.
And then they give her this big moment that just did not make me feel anything but pain and befuddlement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wesley Crusher shows up and gives a 90-second elevator pitch to go into space with him and watch other people...
To go into eternity with him.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, to go somewhere. A spaceship with no windows.
Into the ether.
other people, and Corey's like, or Corey, I've only ever been outside once, and everything is new to me, but sure, that sounds like a great idea.
I just met you, and this is crazy, but
get into my ship, maybe.
Here's my mortality.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Like, maybe explore the planet that you've been on for a little bit before. What makes her qualified for this? How has he been even watching her? Why is he watching her?
Why are people watching everybody?
Everyone's watching everyone.
I know.
Where's his German accent? Like, so many questions.
German accent?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope I never hear the term or the nickname JL again, because I'm really sick and tired of that.
Yeah, I thought we were over it.
Did I tell you last week about what Michelle Hurd calls Patrick Stewart?
Pea stew.
Pea stew.
Yeah.
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 It's like a gross green soup you get forced to eat from like the Gerber baby can. That's not a nickname for Sir Patrick Stewart. This
would you rather spee stew?
No
for
stew.
Sir Patrick.
Stewless.
Okay.
This is all Q was there for. To have Picard forgive himself, like a slightly powerful yet completely undeserved and unearned moment. The way that this whole season was written, I cannot understand.
I don't understand how the alternate timeline and everything that has happened and Q sabotaging the launch, I really don't understand how all of that plays in.
Yeah.
Am I just not getting it, or?
This is emotion over substance and over story, for sure. It just doesn't pay off for me. I'm glad that some people enjoyed it, but when you look at what they did this season with Q and the dialogue and just the storyline, what the heck happened to the FBI agent? Why did that exist? Why did Picard need to be in a holding cell for 30 minutes, 45 minutes of the season?
No idea.
Over 10% of the season was spent him sitting in a dusty basement.
Why did we get young Guinan so that she could be in like 2 episodes?
Why were the Vulcans there?
No clue. Yeah,
is there a con file? Why is Q spying on Renee and being her therapist and trying to stop the launch when all he wants is for Picard to forgive himself? Like,
the effort it must have taken for Q to become her therapist, meeting with her every week. Writing file. He had to have an office, so he had to have applied to that job. Before he applied to that job, he would have had to have fabricated all of this schooling. He would have had to interview for it. He would have had to like meet with HR and have orientation week where he's taught like how he can act in, their space. I like it. Just it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to try to even make this make any sense. And the whole season, the most damning thing about this is the whole season could have been avoided had Agnes just opened up her mouth in the first episode and said, "Hey guys, it's me, I can explain," instead of just like sitting there with a weird black Borg mask, which looks better, and I understand why she's wearing it when you see the last episode.
Yeah. Ooh, they did her dirty with that face.
Yeah, it's like that creepy doll face in Toy Story.
Why'd they
that's like
do that?
I don't know.
She looked so good.
I know, and then so bad. I don't know.
Yikes!
And then the Borg joining Starfleet, like on paper, that is an interesting concept.
Yes,
it is. An ultimate goal and something TNG played with, giving the Borg, in the episode I, Borg, where Hugh comes aboard and they give him his individuality. They kind of play at, what would the Borg be like if they had individuality? And that's a really good example of how to do it well. This was executed very poorly and too quickly. So, and it may just be that specific vessel that Agnes is in charge of with people that have chosen to join her, but like there's no explanation there, which is most of the season. It's just like we have to take everything at face value, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of already talked about this, but the fact that Guinan just happened to know John Luke's distant relative and never said a dang thing. Like, I guess she couldn't, but why even bring that up? Why does everyone have to know everyone from the past? Why does Soong have to be Soong in every timeline, in every period, and be involved with any genetic thing ever? Like the whole Khan thing. Like, they're just throwing in references to get cheap attention, and it just bothers me. And then lastly, probably, Picard toasting with his crew. Nice scene. I guess maybe there's more neutral zone, but it just really doesn't have that much impact, especially when they try to utilize the TNG theme multiple times. And the only TNG character that's even there is him and Guinan. Like, him toasting with Elnor and Rafi, like, and Seven, even to an extent, does not have the same impact as if Riker is there, or Geordi is there, or Data, Worf, Crusher, Beverly, of course.
Which, just wait for it.
Oh, man.
I mean, if you like all those people, just wait for season 3.
And also, like, when they film it simultaneously, season 3 is coming. Why not give us a big holy crap moment at the end of the season instead of ending with, like, the big end to the season is that Talon redid the room in which his mother hung himself?
Yeah, that's really weird.
Like, what?
No. Ew.
Yeah.
I
agree. I mean, I understand what they're going for, but anyways. That's all the cons I have, Jocelyn.
I don't even know what else to say.
This was all building up for a while, and a lot of lackluster episodes in a row, and then a little glimmer of hope. And I thought they might be able to semi-stick the landing. I know, and it... benefit of the doubt, I feel like throughout this entire season is what we've been giving them. Yes. Yeah, I agree. So it all just came to head this episode, and it did not pan out. And it did not help that I watched this first, because I did not want... Me too. ...to watch Strange New Worlds and then watch this. I wanted to kind of have some finality and then go to Strange New Worlds. But I watched Strange New Worlds twice, and I would have watched it a third time had I had the time. I watched Picard once, and I probably could have watched it again and gotten a little more positivity, but that's just kind of my reactions from watching it one time, and I was definitely left disappointed by the season and the finale. Like, Discovery, as lackluster as it was for the mid-season portion and most of the season, finished really strong with a good 3 to 4 episode run. Picard did not do that. It started really strong, and it just completely fell off. Yeah, so it fell off hard. It was unfortunate. But we have a lot of fans out there, Jocelyn, who want to voice their opinion. I think we should hear what that opinion is now in our fan comments. I think we should. Let me pull them up on my phone here. Perfect. The first comment is from Chris Rowell. He says, "Was it perfect? No. Did it leave questions unanswered? Yes. Did it give me joy? Absolutely. A combination of eyebrow raisers, fangirling, closure, predictability, and happiness. Not the best Trek, but thoroughly enjoyed." Kevin, he liked it. Yeah. Kevin Leung says, "This was disappointing to say the least. What was good just ended with a horrible story. Picard is so much like Discovery. I don't think that this story format works for Star Trek. As for my last name, it's pronounced as Leung. So, mystery solved." Thank you, Kevin. My reference about Boimler in the last episode was when he taught the Borg Queen about empathy in the simulator, which I'd kind of forgotten and gotten confused because I watched the holodeck episode from Star Trek Prodigy, and I couldn't remember that specific episode of Lower Decks 100%. So, even though it was not real, it was an idea once already used. I'm not really looking forward to the next gen crew joining in now, since it feels like we might just get more disappointment. And I'm a little concerned. Like, I think nostalgia plays a big role in that, and I think that we will get a better season 3. It would be hard not to. But given what they've done with Picard here in season 2, and Q, and Wesley, and Guinan to a lesser extent, like, I don't have a lot of faith. But, like, the same team did Strange New Worlds. Like, What?
It's wild to me.
It is.
It's so wildly different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joseph Adams says, "Dang it, they got me. They made me care again. That was what I wanted from it, and that's what I got. 9 out of 10 shield harmonizations." Yeah.
Tony DeSimone says, I enjoyed the finale, but oddly enough, thought they wrapped things up a little too neatly. But just because I know not everyone will feel the same way, I have to say that I was psyched to see Wesley again, and they even followed through on the Traveler thing. I'm hoping to see him again, but I'm not sure what to expect from the next season, as I didn't think they were going to wrap things up at the end of this season.
And Wayne Fraser says, I thought this was terrible. Absolutely terrible. They, the writers and the characters, cared so little for the mission at hand that it finished at the 17-minute mark of the episode with little or no action or tension. I have a litany of cons, including Project Con itself, but I would rather not rant for brevity's sake. I did like the interaction between Q and Picard, even if I don't buy that a Q can die without intervention from other Q. It was quite a beautiful thing to see. And despite the fact that he's lost all his acting chops, I really loved seeing Wesley back. It was such a lovely surprise. I hold out so little hope for season 3.
Ooh, Will Flores says, I'm right in the middle on this. I like the Picard-Q interaction. I even like Wesley showing up to offer Corey a job, and Talon getting to let Renee know who she was. But I think the biggest con of this finale is that it was just too predictable. We knew Agnes was the queen from the premiere by last week. We knew Rios was going to stay in the past, and we knew Talon had to sacrifice herself disguised as Renee. We knew Q was going to send them back to the future, trademark. I just didn't like it, I guess. And is the con file for the project that was supposed to have happened in the 90s, or do they just not know the dates were said in previous dialogue? I don't know. I didn't really absolutely hate it, but I didn't like it either. 5 not so great episodes to end the season.
And Keith Danforth says, well, I am glad we got our answers in the finale. It was just an incredibly under-delivered performance by all involved. You know, it's a cold day in Stove or Core when Will Wheaton's scene ends up being the best aspect of the show. Because it's the only genuine surprise twist this show has done all season. I did enjoy John Delancey's performance, though. We've always known Q had a bromance with Picard since the start of TNG, and although I don't think they really wrote his role well in this story, he at least kept it together well enough that I'll table my questions for how a Q can die without having their powers removed. Maybe Discovery can with a new Q actor. I think the problem I have with the series taken as a whole is that very little of it actually involves Jean-Luc Picard, and instead involves a Soong in some part of the timeline. You could just call this show 2.5 Soongs. A better setup from the previous season to this would have been if the Borg Queen had actually learned of Adam Soong during her interactions with Data in First Contact and set about a plan to attempt another timeline disruption further in the past. Data could have then warned Picard in his last moments that the Soong legacy was much more sinister than he realized, but offer no other details, and then the Borg incident with the Stargazer happens. My MVP award rests with Alison Pill. She was the only person I felt delivered a clean and consistent performance throughout this entire series, which is an about-face from last season. I know we all have doubts about the new Borg 2.0, but I think Jurati sold the sales pitch extremely well, and I kind of hope that we get to see the result of her efforts next season. I'm not sad about Rios leaving. He was an interesting character, but he and his cigars fell out of place in Trek. And if their intention is to promote Seven back into Starfleet next season, I am 140% for this. And hopefully she'll get a real uniform out of it and not skin suits from Voyager. Hear, hear. 7 transwarp conduits out of, I think that's the infinity symbol.
Yes, I believe so. I think Keith Danforth brought up the biggest question of the week. Would 2.5 Soongs star Brent Spiner and Charlie Sheen, or Brent Spiner and Ashton Kutcher?
if we know anything about Soongs throughout Trek history, it would star Brent Spiner and Brent Spiner.
With little Brent Spiner.
With little, like a de-aged CGI Brent Spiner.
That is terrifying.
It is indeed, yeah.
Almost as terrifying as Ashton Kutcher.
Yes.
Being on, or just watching Two and a Half Men, regardless of
or
who's
just,
on it.
yeah, that show in general, yeah.
Barbara Whipple says, I always enjoyed the upbeat feeling and the humor in Star Trek. And that's what I miss the most in Discovery and Picard. They're so serious and drear. I usually drop miniseries where bad things happen time after time and good guys can't get ahead. But this finale gives us some wins. I love seeing Wesley Crusher. Even though he was annoying in the first few seasons of Next Gen, I also felt like there was too much shut up Wesley, and they were too rude to him. So it's nice to he gets acknowledgement. But that grin, is that how he looks on his podcast where Joselyn says he smiles too much? So, there's things that don't add up and there's things that are boring. I'm just glad their gigantic galactic disaster only appeared at the end and they didn't spend the whole season on it. Yeah, that's how he looks on the Ready Room show at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the Ready Room show, I don't mind it. And I don't mind him showing up on Trek. I think he is one of Trek's biggest fans. And Jordan, I don't know if you know this, but he also played Wesley Crusher in Star Trek TNG. So I don't begrudge good things happening to Will Wheaton. I think Will Wheaton is a lovely person, and he was hilarious when he was like the villain character in that
Leverage?
YouTube show. Where about the gamers, the guild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which you can
He's
watch
in
on
Eureka,
Netflix.
He's in Leverage. He usually plays like kind of a villainous type role.
Yeah, and he's good at that. I enjoy it. But it was just the scene itself.
Better than
was
this performance, that's for sure.
Yeah. James Heath says, finally got some good Q moments and Picard seemed more like himself, which was nice to see, but this was largely a disappointing end to a disappointing season. The TNG crew joining means we will have genuine chemistry between main characters, and that's something that may improve this show. So maybe season 3 will do Picard justice.
And Jeremy Reed says, pros. Orla Brady gave a powerhouse performance this week, a definite season highlight. Q, much like the Data Picard scenes in season 1, Q Picard hit all the right notes. Their final moments together really worked for me. The Q send-off here is an absolute highlight of an otherwise mixed season. There are, however, 2 great takeaways from this year that will enhance prior Trek for me going forward. Picard's interaction and background with his mother will forever make this interaction with her in where no man has gone before much more haunting. It also amplifies the tension he has with his brother Robert in the stellar episode Family. Now, we don't know how much of the details Jean-Luc's older brother knows surrounding his mother's tragic end, but you can see how Robert being off at boarding school when it happened, then Jean-Luc leaving his responsibilities to travel the stars would really cause a rift between the two. Aside from that, no real surprises. I do think this is a stronger episode than most this season, but it also shines a light onto the year's biggest weakness. This was clearly not a 10-episode story. For instance, the entire Detained by a Detective episode a couple weeks back was completely unnecessary in the long run, and the short run. That's what kept both Picard and the 4th season of Discovery from really delivering great seasons this year. They had solid, even great ideas, but stretched them out over too many episodes, which is crazy considering Trek isn't doing 26-episode seasons anymore. Cons. I give Girardi's Borg Queen design a Girardi minus. Unless the design crew intended for her final look to resemble Peter Weller's RoboCop with his helmet off, I'd call this a fail. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's
That's
bad.
What's his name? Admiral Marcus to you. So maybe now that the whole season is done, it'll flow better when binged. The problem is, will anyone care to watch it again to find out? As for this finale, though, I'd say it was pretty solid. I'll give it a 7. A 7 was completely misused and wasted this season. No
Yes.
kidding. Well,
No joke.
thank you all for taking the time to write in and for kind of venturing through this season with us. There definitely were some highs. There were some lows. But Jocelyn, it is time, speaking of low, to rate this episode.
Ooh, yes.
What do you give
Okay.
Farewell?
Honestly, and this is going to shock and dismay many of you, but I give it a 6. A 6. I'm so exhausted from watching this episode. I didn't have time to put together a catchy 6 related statement. So just a 6. Yeah.
I am so torn. I think it's better than some of the last episodes that I gave like a 6, 6.5, 5.5-ish. But like the fact that almost nothing paid off here is just
so disappointing.
I am struggling with that. Just
do you need some time?
I don't know. Picard, like the Q send off was good. The fact I'm almost just like happy that this arc is over and almost like pleased that I'm gonna lower my score slightly. I slightly raised it, but I think that's being disingenuous because I can't sit here and talk bad about it and then give it that score. So I'll give it a 5.5. So 5.5 harmonizing Borgs.
Oh my goodness.
And that gives the overall score of the finale, brings it to a 5.96.
Okay.
So it seems
nicely done.
About right. Well, Jocelyn, I have a next time on. Do you have a next time on?
I do, but I think it's mostly a participation in yours.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
What in the world? Do you see this creepy guy with the beard just smiling? Hi, nerds!
Oh my God. Will Wheaton?
Oh my God. That's literally hilarious. No, it's me, Wesley Crusher, and I could not be more excited right now.
Why?
I am overjoyed to welcome you to the Traveler family. Cora, did you know that I'm a Traveler? I've been with the Travelers for over 30 years. Can you believe that? It's mind-boggling. 30 years. Wow. There since the beginning. I mean, I left 4 years into traveling program, but now it's popular again, and it's all I ever talk about. Try and shoehorn myself in every chance that I get.
Yeah, you're losing me.
Cora, you have had a tremendous, monumental season. You go, girl. You remind me of me. So thank you for continuing the legacy that I helped build. Totally deserved this. Let's go.
I don't think I ever said yes. Yeah, that's basically how that scene went.
Oh my gosh. So that was a script sent in by one of our fans, Jeremy Reed. My initial next time on was going to be Will Wheaton interviewing Wesley Crusher, but I think that was a similar flavor. It would probably go something like, "Hi nerds, I'm Will Wheaton. And today on the Ready Room, I am so excited to share with you one of my favorite actors, probably the best actor I've ever had the pleasure and privilege of interviewing. It's the tremendous, stupendous Wesley Crusher, my favorite Star Trek character ever. And did you know, Wesley, that I was on Star Trek The Next Generation? Wow, Will, I was on Star Trek Next Generation too. We have so much in common. Okay, anyways, enough of that. I am happy for Will Wheaton. Like, he is obviously...
I'm so happy for him.
Has some baggage surrounding, like, being a kid actor and being on Star Trek and not being able to enjoy the moment of him being that character that he loves. And he talked about that in the Ready Room, about how in a very over dramatic fashion of Will Wheaton, but he did talk about like how it meant so much to him to return to that role that he didn't think he would ever be able to return to, and kind of have that moment where he got to actually enjoy inhabiting that role at that time. And it did, like Jeremy had mentioned, it feels like he was just catty corner to the lot because he does the after show, and he just kind of walked onto the set and they ad-libbed dialogue from the Ready Room, and he was wearing the same outfit pretty much from the Ready Room. Like, if you're going to give me Wesley Crusher, maybe tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Play it like you've been gone for 30 years and been traveling space and time, and maybe are not like, I don't know, Will Wheaton. Less wheat, I guess.
Will Wheaton, who just like changed into kind of a Mr. Rogers sweater and did the
maybe shave the beard off.
Could have
to actually
spent some time with him, yeah.
And also like he recruits Corey. Why? Reasons? Like no Picard Wesley Crusher interaction where like
I know
maybe Picard can actually like he can forgive Picard for telling him to shut up, or they can hug and share a scene
all the times.
Or I don't know, like maybe. Well, I have another next time on Joselyn where.
Oh, do you?
After the credits roll, we get a final scene.
Oh my God.
Wesley Crusher, the Traveler.
There's so much Wesley Crusher in your next time.
I love Wesley, so it just makes sense. I know you do. He returns to Earth, Jocelyn, for one final time after recruiting Corey. He goes back because he's searching for something. Something he forgot. Something that's been haunting him for nearly 30 years. He returns home to claim the one thing he ever really loved. He reaches up into his closet and grabs his favorite striped sweater and returns to the future. There it is, my lucky, sweater. Like, where's his interaction with his mom? Like, I don't know, Dr. Crusher, who said farewell to her son 30 years ago and presumably hasn't seen him since?
Right.
The weird thing is, like, after he left, she probably was, like, in the house. It was like, I feel like I just felt a ghost. And was, like, slightly aroused. I don't know. Sorry, that's weird. Next time on. I don't know. This episode, just, like, I wanted to like it, and I liked some of the ingredients, but they just put them in the wrong order. And
or something.
They use, like... sugar-free ingredients too, and maybe like a gluten-free recipe, and just
right.
They didn't have milk, so they had to use like powdered milk instead. Like, I don't know, something was way off.
It was something off, and I watched Picard and then I watched Strange New Worlds directly after, because I was like, well, I'm already on the Paramount Plus app, and it takes it's so hard to get the thing to work, so I might as well. And that's when I just knew, like, oh my God,
this is
not what I have gotten from Picard this season. And so I think that also played into it, which may be a little unfair because they're two completely different shows. I think they're different formats. They're different. Everything's about them is different except for Trek. So,
well, and kind of like I mentioned, I don't know if I fully talked about this, but the first episode or 2 or 3 was so good of Picard, or was going somewhere and had its own unique vision and story and flavor, because they're doing something new. It was very fast paced, and then it just kind of ran out of dilithium. I don't know. It was but the good news is we have a season 3, and we already know who's going to be in season 3, and it's already been filmed.
Yes.
So
fantastic.
It's in post-production.
What could go wrong?
Absolutely everything. But hopefully not. It would be really hard for season 3 to not be better than season 2. And
Agreed.
Like I said, on the plus side, we have Strange New Worlds streaming right now. We have Lower Decks later this year. Probably Picard, I would imagine, maybe even at the end of this year, if not early next year, because it's already in post-production. So we will see. And the Ready Room was reviewing 2 episodes this week. So Strange New Worlds and Picard, Jocelyn. So you have a big
I can't wait.
Episode. Yes. It transcends both space and time.
As it should.
But Jocelyn, the season has come to a close. I would like to say that we have already reviewed the first episode of Strange New Worlds. Jeremy, Chelsea, and myself recorded. The episode is out. I think we were all pretty high on the episode, as I think you were, Jocelyn.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. We've got 9 more episodes left. So over on the main feed, you can see the Strange New Worlds on the podcast.
Yeah.
You can check us out on patreon.com/Star Trek Wars. Also Facebook at facebook.com/group/Star Trek Wars, or over on Twitter at the Star Trek Wars. So get involved. We love hearing from you. It's nice to hear differing opinions, because some people did like the finale of Picard. Some people didn't. Strange New Worlds has been super positive, which is refreshing. And I hate podcasting about an episode that I don't like that much, unless it's like ironically bad, you know?
Right. Fun bad.
Yes, fun bad is good. And maybe someday this will be fun bad, but like Jeremy referenced, like I don't see myself going back and like, I can't wait to binge season 2 of Picard. Like I would rather watch the Strange New Worlds pilot 10 times than rewatch the Picard season once. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but we do have a 3rd season to look forward to. Jocelyn, any closing thoughts on the season?
I enjoyed everybody who was in it, and there was something there, and it just didn't quite make it, you know? So Picard as a series, anything Trek will always have like a place in my heart.
Sure.
And I'll watch it. Yeah. And Alison Pill was really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there was some standout performances. I think Alison Pill had a lot more to do. I think Seven, towards the end of the season, ramped up, and she got to be the president in like the 2nd, 3rd episode.
That episode was really good.
That was very good. I think the new Port Queen did really well.
Yeah.
Picard had some good moments. Q had his moment at the end of this episode.
Right.
We do get some closure on the Wesley character, like it or not.
It all looks good on paper. It all looks good on the Previously On.
Yes.
Like the vision was there, and I see what they were trying to do. I really do.
And a lot of these characters, unfortunately, like they won't be back for season 3 either. So that's what they say, anyways. So we'll see what they do with it. They will have a lot more leeway next season. I just hope it's not saving the galaxy, but it almost has to be. The stakes are that high. You really can't go backwards. So
yeah.
Anyways. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you guys listening, supporting, rating, and reviewing the episodes. And we look forward to talking with you all next season. So until then, computer and program.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.